Are you confident in your sales technique?
Do you follow up with your customers?
Do you work with your significant other?
Have you ever burped in the face of your first podcast guest?
If so,
This is the show for you.
welcome to Last Call for Plastisol. Cheers.
Cheers.
Welcome to Last Call for Plastisol. I'm Christy Rossi,
And I'm Jeremy Ray.
and today we have episode 2 with Laura from Tall Girl Prints.
Yes, we do. But before we do that episode, I thought this would be a good time for us to talk about Graphics Pro Expo.
Yes, it's coming up in Charlotte, and we are actually experts
We're
on the
experts.
panel. Yeah, can you believe it?
We're experts at something.
Yay!
Yay.
Drinking beer for sure.
Yes, which we don't have today.
No.
But that's okay.
So we're going to be experts on the panel. There's some really awesome other people on this panel. It's hosted by Lon and Nikki from Print Girl Mafia, Christina from Print Girl Mafia, Toby from Shirt Lizard, some
You
other
know
people.
them all. Keith Abrams from whatever he's from.
Yeah,
Yes.
and I have no idea what the panel is going to be about.
Right, but I do know that I think it's free.
Yeah.
So the whole show is free. So if you're not signed up for Graphics Pro Expo, you should go ahead and sign up so that you can come out and see us and participate in that panel, right? But then there's also something else special going on at Graphics Pro Expo.
Yes, we have been invited to do a podcast live from the show.
That's exciting
Yeah.
and nerve-wracking.
Yeah, at the same time. So we're going to figure out how to do a live podcast on the fly there.
And I think we have a really special guest for that.
Yes, we have Trig Cherry from Carolina Made. I love Trig. He's awesome.
Yeah, and I think so. We talked to Trig today, or you did,
Yes.
and he's going to do basically how Carolina Made got started and got to kind of give the history.
It's an interesting story.
It
I think you
is.
guys are going to love it.
So it's like that How I Built That podcast, but it's Last Call for Plastisol.
Yeah. So before we get started on the show today, why don't we go into our sponsor reads?
Yeah, let's do that. So our first sponsor read today is from Monarch Color. So Monarch Color Corporation manufactures some of the highest quality and most innovative Plastisol inks currently on the market. Monarch offers a full line of ready-to-use inks, finished ink blending systems, and pigment dispersion blending systems. I have the mixing
Right
system.
behind us. You
I
have
the mixing system right behind us. All of which are available in standard and low cure temps, which is a very important when you're doing low cure shirts.
Yeah, poly.
Right? Poly. Yeah. Why couldn't I think of that? Because I don't print
been a
anymore.
long week.
It's been a long week. Interested in giving Monarch a try? Head on over to monarchcolor.com to take a look at all of our product offerings and check out our distributor page to find out who the distributor is near you. If you're local to here, I know who it is.
Yes.
Who is it?
Actually, it is Blue Ridge Screen Products. Are you looking to up your print game? Are you wondering if there's a better process to improve your overall print? Are there better products that can help you produce more in a shorter amount of time? Talk to one of our textile print advisors at Blue Ridge Screen Products and see if they can help you improve your print game. Or just go to their website, www.blueridgescreenproducts.com, and shop for some of the best products in the industry. Use Last Call 10 at checkout to receive 10% off your first order. Start partnering with your textile print advisor today. And that would be Aaron.
That's
over-
Aaron from Blue Ridge.
I'm sure you guys are hearing it, but that's my Ring doorbell camera at my office.
Oh,
Hopefully
that's
no
what
one
it is.
is
You got customers you need to attend
breaking
to.
into my shop.
I hope not. That's what that is. Okay, so I want to start a new tradition. We got these little pieces of paper, and we don't need any more, so I'm throwing them away. All right, now we have our last read. Have you ever tried taping a screen with anything other than PMI tape?
Yes.
Like masking tape and painter's tape and all that stuff?
It doesn't
How
go
did that
so
go
well.
for you? I was going to say, how did that go for you? It didn't go very well for me either. So don't make the same mistake of thinking all tape is equal. You guys out there, come on, trying to save a dime. PMI tape is specifically formatted and designed for the screen printing industry. It helps you increase the efficiency of your shop because it is specifically designed for that. PMI tape will always peel cleanly and there is no sticky mess to clean up. You can ask my screen guy that. He
Yeah.
absolutely swears by that. PMI tape, roll with efficiency.
Boom.
Boom. So, how about we go into our show now?
Yeah, exciting. Today we have our first guest, Laura from Tall Girl Prints, our official first podcast guest. Woo! Which is awesome. Jeremy, introduce her.
Yeah, so Laura from Tall Girl Prints is her and her husband, not husband, fiance. Fiance is a fun thing to say. That's why Beyonce is fun to say too. So Laura and her fiance Gabriel.
Gabriel.
Depends
on the country you're in.
He's Italian.
Where's he from?
So
He's from Italy.
Awesome. So they met in 2019. Gabrielle has a MBA from Wake Forest.
Yes.
And was already working in DTG and embroidery.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
And you guys met in 2019. Right? I already said that part. And then what else?
Where did you guys meet?
Yeah, where did you guys meet?
We met through mutual friends, and I knew he traveled a lot, but I didn't know what he did. But he works on the machinery in our industry.
Oh, cool.
Okay.
That's what he did before the business. We started the business together.
Awesome. I just hit my head on the microphone.
Yep.
We're learning, guys.
We're pros here.
We're pros. We're learning. So, I just said again. I'm going to try to say not a lot more. Tall Girl Print started in March of 2022, so less than a year.
Wow.
Yes.
You guys are fresh.
Yeah.
Fresh out the box. And you do DTG and embroidery.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
Well, welcome to the show.
Welcome to the show.
I love being here.
And I actually met Laura right before December. We were Instagram buddies.
Yes.
Instagram print buddies. We have the same graphic designer for our website.
Yep.
And Laura and I connected after the new year, after all the crazy, and we went to lunch together and became Insta print buddies.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, I
Had
just
some pizza?
could tell that you had like a really successful operation in business, and I just looked up to you and just wanted to get to know you to see if I could learn anything. And a lot of times people who are really successful, like, they are willing to give back and help someone just who's new. So that's like the purpose of today, right? Is to try to help people.
Absolutely. And the reason that I connected with you so quickly was you have so much to give this industry. Before you were in DTG, what did you do?
I did corporate sales. So I've done any type of sales, every type of sales. I've been selling pretty much my whole life without even meaning to. But in my 20s, for about 10 years, I sold Amway products. A lot of people don't know that. So I would sell energy drinks and vitamins and all that stuff. And I was really into it. And then I sold websites. And in my corporate career, I sold digital advertising. And then most recently, I'm an Airbnb host in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Okay.
So I've been doing that for 9 years. There's a lot of sales involved with dealing with all those people and selling your listing. And then once they're there, keeping them happy. And then now recently, I quit my corporate job 4 months ago to help Gabriel with the business. And obviously a lot of sales in that too.
So I think you guys have like this ultimate combo. You and Gabriel, he's got the technical side down and you've got the sales side down. Like, that's amazing. You don't find many business partners that can handle both sides of the business.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, you guys have obviously been doing it for a really long time, and I mean, knowing you do everything. So, like the sales and finding new customers, but also like the technical knowledge, like learning embroidery. So that's like, I definitely admire you for that. So.
Yeah, it seems like with the combo that you guys have, though, you are really set to hit the ground running in your business.
Yeah, so according to Wikipedia, because that's where I get all the professional knowledge from, you guys met and then you talked him into quitting his full-time job, or is that true?
Yeah, so he was traveling all the time, and even though he worked for a great company, he was exhausted because he was installing DTG machines sometimes like in four different locations in 1 week. He was just always traveling. So I started an Etsy shop, and I proved to him, like, we can sell t-shirts. Like, you need to quit your job because you know this business. I didn't realize I was going to be involved.
Yeah.
Right.
I thought I was going to keep my corporate career, and it was going to be his thing, and he was going to go run with it. But then as soon as like customers started getting involved and he needed me to send emails and communication, and my natural sales skills kicked in, I slowly started taking over more, kind of fell into it. So
Yeah.
So relationship-wise, you guys just meet. How long after that before you convinced him to quit?
About 2 years.
About 2 years.
Yeah.
So like now there's commitment, right?
Yeah.
Because I was gonna say, like, you just met him and then you're like, you should quit your job.
Best girlfriend ever.
Right. And which means
good influence,
you need
right?
to trust me, so you need to make a commitment. So ring up, buddy. No.
Yeah.
No, so
we
2
dated
years.
for a long time,
Okay.
and he was gone all the time, and
Gotcha.
yeah. So
Cool. So why Tall Girl Prints for his business? And with you not wanting to be involved?
Tall Girl Prince is such an interesting thing because people were like, it's his business. Why'd you name it that? That was the name of my Etsy site.
Okay.
And that kind of took off and we started selling shirts there. And then when we started the LLC, the lawyer was like, well, what name? So I was like, Gabriel, if we want to change this for your business, we have to change it now. He's like, I'm fine with that. I don't know if we realized it would snowball into what it is now.
Yeah, he's so low key. I could see him doing that.
He was like, okay, sure. So then I kind of became the face of the business. You can't see me on the podcast, but I'm 6 feet tall. So Tall Girl Prince, that's kind of where it came from.
Are you really 6 foot tall?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Wow, that's why I feel short.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm barely 6 foot tall, I think.
Yeah.
So, all right. So how was that conversation with him? I know you said you just like basically said, all right, you should quit your job. You're traveling so much. Mm-hmm. We need to be together more. Or however you did that, but what was like the turning point for him to actually just go ahead and quit his job, corporate, and be like, all right, I'm all in? Like, what was there like a deciding factor? Was there like did you reach a convincing point to you're like just the online store, or was it like
that's
more than
all
that?
we had was just Etsy, and it wasn't
Yeah.
even very much. I mean, we're selling like, I don't know, 7, 8, 9, 10 things a week, and it was on an outsourced, direct to print vendor. We weren't making that much. We just
Right.
thought, oh, we can do it ourselves and make more profit. But
Yeah.
Right. Was he unhappy, or was it just like
I just think that we both realized that when you work in corporate America, no matter how much you make, there's a cap, and somebody else owns you. And literally. And so when you have your own business, we could fail, but we'd never know. We'd never
Right.
know if we didn't try. So let's go for it, and that's kind of how it happened.
Right.
So.
Yeah. So I have a similar story where I was a mechanical engineer for 22 years. My wife was a nurse. Right?
Yeah.
So that whole aspect of things where I was just trying to help my son out with the clothing line, it started to be a side hustle just to pay off equipment.
Yeah.
And then that started to be fun.
Yeah.
And sitting in an office, taking orders from the man wasn't fun.
Yeah.
And so I would come home from work and print.
Yeah.
Is it still fun?
It's fun. It's still fun.
It's still fun.
I don't know I don't know how to print anymore, but
Yeah.
it's fun. Yeah. We have our good and bad days,
Yeah.
right? Everybody has their good and bad days. But awesome. So,
I have a question. So how did you decide to quit your job and come on as the sales team?
That was not the most well planned out situation.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess, when you have two incomes, like really strong 6-figure incomes, and then you go to nothing, it's like probably one person should have thought that out a little bit more. I guess I could just see the writing on the wall that the business was about to take off, and I really had passion for it and I enjoyed it. And also, like Gabriel and I met later in life. I'm 40, and so I want to be with him.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking, this is a way for us to be together and have a business together. And like I said, I can always, if it fails, which it's not going to, I can always go back and get another job. So I kind of did it in a rash manner, not rude to my employer, but just went for it.
yeah,
How
the
about you?
mindset, having the mindset of like the worst that could happen is I could go back into sales.
Yeah.
And we actually talked about that at
did.
lunch the other day.
Yeah.
We have similar personalities in the sense of, I just told her, like, I'm super confident in the fact that I can figure out the next step of anything. Like,
Yeah.
it might not be what I think the next step is going to be, but there will be a next step and we will be successful at a next step of some sort. We're not just going to fail and fall on our face.
Yeah, well, I remember you were talking, and this is not related to t-shirts, but about real estate. And you're like, I saw a good opportunity, and I went for it. And I'm like, I would do the exact same thing. And not everyone's built for that level of risk, but, we only have one chance at this life, so why not?
Yeah. And you never know. I mean, the employer, like my employer was like, you realize that I'm the only person you could ever tell this to in the entire company. And he was the vice president from England. And I was like, well, why is that? And he goes, well, everybody else would just fire you on the spot, but I actually quit and went and tried to start my own business. And he goes, and I didn't do so hot, but I admire you for trying.
That's
that's awesome.
And I was like, awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I don't recommend quitting your corporate job.
Just quit. Just do it.
I mean, you gotta.
Bad influence.
Right. It's like, don't do that. But
well, actually, my previous software company, I worked for somewhere for 8 years and then somewhere for just a couple months, and they actually purchased from me. They were really supportive.
That's awesome.
Yeah, they got hats and stuff like that. So.
yeah, and I've made Bradman Lake shirts where I used to work. So yeah,
Exactly.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So all right, so only in business since March. So how's business?
Business is good. I would say that there's a lot of personal growth and learning for me. A lot that I'm having to work on with my organizational skills, even though the sales skills are so strong. So I was going to tell you, I did some research before this because I know people listening to the podcast, especially if they're struggling in this area, they want to know like who's talking to them, like what credibility do they have, you know? Right. So in 2022, which was last year, I looked and we had 51 paid invoices, ranging from like a couple $100s to a couple $1,000. Right. Now, we're only in mid-March, and we have almost the exact same amount. So when, at the time that I looked before, we had 51, but I've added like 4 or 5 this week. So we're almost matching all last year's paid invoices, and these ones are actually larger in just like
in the first few months. Mm-hmm. Yeah, in the first quarter. That's awesome.
And I think the reason I say that is not to like brag or like be arrogant or anything. It's just because I know that other people can do it if I did it, and you know, it's really just a mentality of like trying to push through and like get that next sale and the referrals. And I know more stuff that we're talking about today, so I won't go on about that. But
and I think
that's how business is going. Basically,
there's good nuggets in that too, like the momentum as you're learning. Well, you're not going to spend as long on mock-ups. You're not going to spend as long closing because you're going to know how to close. Like everything's going to get faster, and it's all going to build on each other, so you can use your strengths in different ways. Like
and it has to go with not being afraid to fail too, because we have failed. You know, Christy, our first lunch, I was telling her, like, when someone says they want to order and I know them and I trust them, I order the blanks, and she's like, no, don't do that. No. And I was like, oh, okay. And so I went back and I'm like, yeah, you're going to pay in advance. But anyway, we had a situation before I had that conversation with you, and there was a lot of inventory. And you know what? We ended up donating those shirts to a charity. And so like we're just like, what's the worst gonna happen? Like we're gonna fail and we're gonna learn, and then we're gonna just fail more and we're gonna learn more. And I have made mistakes. We've made mistakes on our actual garments, like having to reprint, placement, color, whatever, communication, operations. But I think we have momentum now, and I'm thankful for that because of all the mistakes and things that I had to learn last year, and I'm still learning. I'm hoping to learn from you guys tonight.
Absolutely. So, you gotta. For those of you listening, you have to have a mentality when that, yes, you're learning, you're going to make mistakes. Mm-hmm. The process is not always straightforward and easy with dealing with one specific customer, because everybody's different. Yeah. Right? They're going to want to do something. They're going to want to talk you out of paying out up front. They're going to want to talk you out of doing a lot of things. Mm-hmm. But you just have to have a system in place, and you got to stick with it. And my advice is to, when something goes wrong, total transparency. It will go a million miles if you're total transparent with them. Do not try to cover it up. Do not make up a lie that you can't remember when you talk to them next time. Mm-hmm. Don't go down that path. Don't get upset. It's because you're losing a bunch of money and then treat that customer terribly. You have to have total transparency. We messed up or something happened. Don't even blaming it on a process. Blame it on yourself. Yeah. We messed up. We're going to fix it, because you're not going to leave here with something you don't want.
Or even your interaction with people. I had total transparency with a customer this week. I had a scheduled sales call with them. I totally spaced and didn't call them. So 15 minutes later, when they're blowing up my email, I just called them and said, I totally forgot to call you. I was counting shirts and chatting with my printer in the shop, and I wasn't paying attention. And she laughed, and she was ready to start the sales call. She wasn't upset. She wasn't anything, because I was just transparent that I'm a person and I'm a little squirrel-like at times, and I think people really love that.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Yeah. And so as I keep on burping, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
What kind of beer are you drinking, by the way?
I'm drinking Legal Remedies Mattios, which is an Irish red ale.
It's very St. Patrick's Day.
Well, full disclosure, it's really close to St. Patrick's Day when we're filming this. Yeah. So, what are you drinking?
I am drinking Slow Play Seltzer. It's delicious. Mixed berry seltzer.
Is it Throw Pink?
I think so.
Throw Pink. So that's their Innova disc golf brand.
Do you like disc golf?
I absolutely love disc golf.
We actually have a disc golf goal in our front yard. My kids
Awesome.
love it.
Wow.
Yeah?
We just did shirts for disc golf people.
Really? Cool.
Yeah, so it's huge.
Yeah, it's really big.
It's huge.
What are you
And
drinking, Laura?
I am drinking Legion.
Legion's Juicy J.
I think
That's
so.
what it looks like.
Very
Yeah.
popular. around
Very
here.
popular,
Yeah, in
except for in
Charlotte.
Christy's fridge.
You know what? I bought a lot of it. I thought I was going to be like the cool friend and have all this
Trendy beer.
hip
Right.
craft beer in my fridge. And I invited all my friends over and they all drank all the PBR.
Not so cool.
Not so cool. So the Juicy J is still there and I will bring
Yeah.
it next
It's
time.
delish.
So.
No, it's yeah, absolutely. So yeah, sorry for burping.
It's all good.
But like, I keep on like,
That
what-
was our burp break.
This is our burp break, sponsored by.
Yeah, I like that.
All three
The burp
beers.
break.
So we're actually full transparency. We are mixed drinks today, as far as like mixed breweries.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
We would love to have a brewery sponsor.
I would love
to actually fill up that bucket in the beginning there with y'all's beer. So
Absolutely.
Hit us
reach
up.
out to Last Call For Plastisol on Instagram. And
Yeah.
sure, sponsor the show.
So I actually want to dig deep into your sales process.
Okay.
I love that you were in sales because when I go places to events or people are talking to me at Jeremy's open house that we had for Anatol a couple of weeks ago, everyone asked me, Christy, how do you sell shirts? And it blows my mind because I just kind of like wing it all the time with most things I do. But people need to know how to sell.
They do.
And it's not as natural for some people as it is for me. So
Sure.
tell me about how you sell.
Well, let me start out by asking you as a question. If you asked people who made a purchase from you or another company, and they made that decision, they had other options, what do you think helped make that decision? For example, price, quality, service. Like, what would you guys say is probably the number one reason why people purchase?
It's from what I found in my area, it's always price driven.
Okay.
Which is I don't agree with that, but
Okay.
that seems to be the starting point is price driven.
Okay.
And
what
for
do you think?
me, and I think for my customers, it's connection.
Okay, so service basically, or if they like you, that's another
Do they
category.
like me? Do they think I'm friendly?
Mm-hmm.
And do they think I'm going to take care of them?
Yep.
So I have gone to, I don't know, hundreds, if not thousands of sales trainings in my life. And I can tell you that there's so many reasons why people purchase. If they like you, if they have a connection with you, price, quality, location, all this stuff. The number one reason always why people purchase is ease of doing business. How easy is it to do business with you? And you always have to keep that in your mind. Think about it. You might buy from someone, you don't even like them. You're like, oh, but you're like, it's just so easy,
Yeah.
I mean, why do you get stuff on Amazon? One click. You have you have to always keep in mind, from the customer's perspective, am I easy to deal with? Is doing business with me easy, and they will never go anywhere else. So I don't know if that helps.
No, that
at all.
absolutely
It
helps.
definitely helps. And you know what? Transparency. Like, I think I've lost customers sometimes because I'm not easy to do business with all the time because I'm trying to wear too many hats in my shop and I'm not getting back to people as quick as I should. So that's something that I've been trying to work on this year is as soon as they email me 15 minutes later or less, they have a connection with me and
nice.
we're
Okay.
trying to make it easier.
Yeah, and I think it's
sure.
easy to understand like what those types of things because it's usually a customer asking a question. Like, I don't see an online payment button.
Yeah.
Why don't I see an online payment?
And they wanna pay you.
They
They've
want to
got their
pay.
card out.
Right. So I
Right.
need an online pay button. I need to make it easier. Right.
Clearly.
Right. Right. So it's those types of things, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Is there anything else you can think of like that would speed like is there like telltale like fixes for that, like to make things
Well, as
easier?
a
Is it-
salesperson, you want to be like a duck on water. Your feet are going crazy mad under the water, but on the top, you're like, oh yeah, no problem. I mean, there are so many things. I mean, even the visor, like we did one visor for you, right? And we've never done visors, and we know we can do it. And we just had Jonathan, who's an old coworker of Gabriel that works for the manufacturing company, come over and say, you can do visors. I'll show you how. Now, we didn't try with yours. We tried with a tennis group, but it was within a couple days. But when you said, can you do this visor? I said, absolutely, we can. And then you left the shop, and
Right.
Gabriel's like, I think we can do it. Do we fold this down? Do we put this on here? I'm like, I don't know, babe. We got to figure this out. But the thing is, the
sold
customer
shirts before we could do them.
Right, exactly.
There you go.
Yeah.
And actually, a great example I always like to pull up in sales as far as that goes, but other things too, is I went to University of Maryland. So Kevin Plank, who started Under Armour, there's this famous story where he was giving away a lot of his short sleeve shirts to football players before there was really even a company. He played football, but he wasn't really one of the stars on the team. I think even after he graduated, but he was still close to the team. So another Division I football team got in touch with him and said, "Oh, do you do long sleeves?" He goes, "Of course we do long sleeves." He didn't do long sleeves. That was his first sale.
Yeah.
Right.
So the point is that that's easy to be doing business with. And actually, a story that you told me, Jeremy, about at church when someone asked, "Could you do something?" If you want to tell that.
Sure. Yeah. So when I first got started, I just had a four color 4-station press, and it was manual. And I had a little buddy, just a V100 dryer. It was something, or it was a D100 or whatever it is from Bastex.
D1000.
D1000.
Put another zero on that.
It was another zero on that.
I love that dryer.
But that thing, it did what I needed it to do, right? And so I go to church and I'm like, hey guys, if anybody, Facebook and all that, hey, if anybody needs shirts, we can do shirts. And Founders Federal Credit Union representative was going to my church, and he's like, hey, can you do some shirts for us? And I was like, yes, absolutely. And he goes, all right, it's 3,000 to 6,000 shirts for the University of South Carolina's baseball team. We want to do a
D1.
opening day giveaway. And we own the rights to the park, Founders Park. And I was like, oh my goodness. And I was thrown back by that. And I go, I can try,
Yeah.
And I immediately caught myself in that I can try. Mm-hmm. And I immediately corrected myself. And I was like, you know what? Absolutely I can. And he was like, great. And I'll get you in touch with the person. I had no clue how to, price 3,000 to 6,000 shirts.
I still don't.
Right, exactly. So what did I do? I went to the first person that I knew that was in the business or in the industry, and I'm like, help me out. I got to figure out how to get these shirts printed because there's no way I'm doing this myself. And he got me in touch with a contract printer.
Yeah.
And I still made a $9,000 profit off the job, which was huge, so much so that I went to the bank that I was doing business with, that I had my little LLC.
Yeah.
And I was putting little itty bitty checks in. And I tried to do, through the drive-through, I tried to do a $9,000 deposit into my account. And they were like, you can't do that. I'm like, you don't want my money?
We've never had a check big enough like this.
Yeah. So there's a funny story behind that. Now they love taking checks now, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's a confidence thing. It's you know what? I always say work the problem, right? Mm-hmm. So you got to work the problem.
Yeah, but just be easy to deal with in general,
I think that's a great point.
Yeah, if you guys ever needed something outsourced, you might not know this, I would drive down. I would drive to pick up the products, and I would drive back because you guys are busier than I am, and I would have no problem with that. And in your mind, I want you to think, my gosh, this is truly passive income. I don't have to deal with her. She's not drama. She doesn't mess it up. She comes to get it. She drops it off. Wow, this is that's the thought. Yeah, in sales, it's really difficult because all of us are so naturally selfish. But you have to think about, what is the other person thinking?
Yeah.
What are their concerns and what's important to them?
And that. It's crazy because you could sit there. It depends on where you're from, right? You could sit here and say, that mindset that I'm driving down, a salesperson's going to actually drive down and bring me ink, which we have a guy that does that, right?
Yes, he's wonderful.
Yeah. And on top of that, he has a guy that worked for him when he was at the other company that would do that for him, right? So, but they didn't have an online store. Mm-hmm. The ease of use, right?
It was hard to do business with them.
It was hard to do business with them.
Even though you liked them.
Even though I liked them because because I didn't want to wait 2 weeks for ink.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because I was on their schedule, right? But now it's changed. Yes. 100%. Everything's online, and you get that in-person touch as well. They're going to come down and make sure that things are running properly. They're going to check the things that need to be checked.
Yeah.
awesome mentality, but you know, it's making it easier on the customer, like you said before.
Yeah.
It really is. And I know we talk a lot about beginning screen printers here and like how we can help beginning screen printers, but there's also that intermediate to higher level shop that can make things easier for our customers. And I've been thinking about that a lot in my business. Like, how can I make it easier for my corporate clients to spend more money for me that they already know they love me? My schools, am I reaching out to the PTA presidents when they're having elections for the next year and going ahead and introducing myself and getting the designs ready for the next year? Am I contacting the admins for my corporate clients and saying, hey, I know you guys normally do a Q2 order.
Exactly.
Can I go ahead and get that design ready?
And here's the proposal.
Here's the proposal.
Already done.
You didn't have to remember to contact me. I'm remembering to contact you.
Right.
And it's done for you, you know?
Well, and then there's another level to this too. That's a mentality, not just making it easy for them, the ease of doing business with you. It's also assuming the sale. So, you know, I think you had sent me some questions about following up on quotes and stuff like that. And we don't have to go there now, but it's just something I was thinking about. So, you know, before the podcast, Jeremy sent me this email and was like, oh, these are some of the questions. And it was like, how do you follow up and what do you say and how often and things like that. And when I read the questions, I think just because I've been trained professionally, it didn't almost register with me. Like I wasn't getting it because I've never thought those questions. And I know the reason why. So the reason why is because in my sales career, I had this amazing sales manager named Brittany, still very close with her. If I would go to her and say, Brittany, I've sent this proposal for the software. They need the software. They've approved it. I had a great call with them. I sent it over. They said they were going to sign. They haven't signed. What's going on? It's been 3 days. Like, should I say this? Should I call? Should I text? Should I? And she's like, she would always say the same thing. And finally it got to me, drilled into me for years. She'd say, Laura, if you have 3 customers you're talking to with double that amount and they're interested and they're engaging in you, are we having this conversation right now? I'd be like, no. She's like, go find those 3. Yeah. Why? Because the person might sign or they might not sign, but I'm so focused on like getting... The truth is, it doesn't matter what you say in the quote. I mean, it does. You have to stay on top of it. But the problem is not a quote policy issue. The problem is a lack of pipeline.
Right.
Yeah.
And the lack of pipeline creates, like, desperation is not attractive in dating or in the print shop.
Correct. So I think there's a little turn though, because I have a lot of customers that are schools, so they're volunteer jobs or things like that, where ordering shirts is not their top priority, but then they're going to realize that they forgot to follow up with me on their quote or pay for it or something, and then it's going to become a rush job. So for me, I do send that follow-up email and I just go, hey, just wanted to make sure my email didn't go to spam. And I usually do it in a different way. Like if I emailed them the quote, I just send them a text.
Got it, yeah.
But I kind of make a funny joke of it because our company name is Snatch and Run. So I'll be like, a lot of our emails go to spam because emails don't like Snatch. So, but it's kind of funny. And then they're like, oh yeah, I forgot to get back to you. But it's always a joke. It's not this like nagging them about they didn't respond to
right,
me,
exactly.
you know?
Exactly. But I mean, again, when you're saying it, you're saying it because you're like, hey, I want to reach out because I don't want this to cost you more, because if you wait too long, it will cost you more. But whether or not they move forward from that is out of your control.
Correct.
But if you had 20 other people way bigger than them, then the way you're reaching out and the tone you're using and it comes across so much, you know, like in everything. So it wasn't like I was saying that's a bad question. It's just that
I think that let's go over the questions that I sent, and I think it's more so for we can all 3 participate.
Yeah.
And I think that it's more for the viewer out there that's watching this podcast that may be like wondering the same type of things. So one of my questions is once your quotes are sent, how long should you wait to follow up? Right?
What do you do, Jeremy?
So my suggestion, we have an automation. We use Printavo. And that automation is, all right, so the quote was sent. We're going to have a timer on that quote to expire, one, and then also to have a kickback for so many days if it's If it's an order that we placed on like a promo, it's the next day to check on it to make sure that they got everything that they need. But specifically for customers, it might be 3 days. And it's just a random email that just automates to my sales girl and says, follow up.
Yeah.
If it hasn't changed, follow up.
And how does Haley follow up?
So that was the question, was suggestions on how to follow up was the next question.
Yeah.
So I would say it depends on the customer,
Yeah.
because some person, you have to make a judgment call. Are they a business corporate person? Then probably phone call. They're not going to respond to text.
Right.
They're not going to respond to email. They probably got 285
Yeah.
emails in their inbox
True
for the
story.
day. So they will not do that. So you have to call them.
Yeah.
Now, if it's a kid or a young person, text. He won't respond to an email at all. Right? But if it's an older person, probably email or, so there's all these different things that you can do, but like I would suggest like reading the customer and understanding, like what's the best way to contact
It's
them.
all about knowing your customer.
And knowing your customer. How about you?
For me, I also have Printavo. Shout out Printavo.
Yeah, sponsor the podcast. Hello, I use it too.
I also have Printavo. So I go back in there every Friday. I don't have my staff come in on Fridays. It's just my work in silence day, and I love it.
Okay.
God, that sounds
So-
amazing.
Great.
So I go through and I adjust our schedule for the next week. I also follow up on any quotes that haven't closed for the week. And anything that's weird, I just go back in there and I'll shoot people a text or give them a phone call. I love texting my customers, and they like it too because I can add in all my emojis that I like to use. Or Instagram. We do a ton of business on Instagram. So,
Wow.
and that's how Snatch and Run started. We started selling on Instagram, and I've continued that. I'm
Wow.
glued to my phone all day, and I hate that part of it, but I love that connection and that they get to know parts of our life. Most of them follow me personally too. So it's just it's
The
another
connection thing is huge.
connection.
If you're into that, like I'm not into the socials as much. So like I've had people text me because I've made the mistake of putting my personal number on there. I've had people text me at 3 a.m,
Yeah.
and that's like not cool.
Yeah, if you
Yeah.
asked my fiance, he would say it's probably a problem too, because I wake up to messages about shirts at 6 o'clock in the morning, at 11 o'clock at night. There is no boundary there.
Yeah.
So eventually that will probably have to change, but
Right.
for now I love it.
Yeah.
I live and breathe shirts, unfortunately, but I just really love it. So it's not a problem yet.
So I try to restrict communication to email, even though I'm constantly talking to people and other things. I'm like, hey, listen, I'm afraid I'm going to forget this. Could you please send an email? Because I know the email goes to myself and Gabriel. So if it's like, hey, could you move this logo, or I need 10 more, or whatever it is, I always ask them to send me an email.
Right.
But then I guess going back to the question, because I wasn't trying to dismiss it, I guess I just always... I try to fill my pipeline so much that I'm not like so many people are following up that I'm always closing.
Yeah.
But
So the only thing I would say that for my business is I feel like I put so much work into getting the mock-ups done and like understanding their artwork and revectorizing their artwork. Like if I get to the mock-up stage or the quote stage and they don't close, it really upsets me because I put that time and money in,
Right.
and I want them to close at that point because that's half of the work right there. The printing the shirts go fast. We have an auto, I'd
Right.
rather just like someone come in with their artwork ready to go and know they want 100 shirts, and we just print the shirts right there. But I'm spending all this time closing the deal from mock-up
Right.
to artwork.
do a lot of people, is it often that people don't, after all that they don't move forward, or is it just that they're slow to?
Some people are slow too. They just they have to find the money, or they have to collect the money from other people. But I would say we're at a really high close rate once we get to that point, because I vet people from the start before we even start the artwork, because the artwork takes so long.
Right. That makes sense.
And it's, so one of the other questions was, I was like, how do you tell if a customer's worth pursuing? Because literally I had somebody asking me these questions at the open house.
Yeah.
They were basically saying like, hey, like I have a customer that like acted like they wanted the stuff, but then like they ghosted me.
Yeah.
you know, and like how many times should I try to contact them after, and they just keep on ghosting me, and I'm like,
Done.
knock it off, you're done.
Yeah,
like,
done.
but
Yeah.
but I really wanted that job. Well, it's not gonna happen. Something happened in the process. It's okay. Move
Yeah.
on. Like, let's
Yeah.
not get stuck. Let's not put all our eggs in one basket.
Exactly,
Right.
yeah.
So the confidence that you say you're basically, like, I can tell just by you talking and answering these questions, like, you have a confidence in sales to say, I don't necessarily have to worry because I'm loading up my queue with all of these quotes and all of this business. But like for the new person out there that's just trying to get one or
person
two
shop.
sales,
Yeah.
right? Like that's the hard part. And you being just in business a few months, you already have that confidence because you came from a sales background. But like, what for the person that doesn't come from the sales background?
I would tell them it's the same thing, that if someone came to me and they said, you know, like the problem with the ghosting, right? I there was this great deal and then they just ghosted me. It's like, I would tell them like, okay, you know, you're wanting me to tell you how to craft a response, but the truth is I need to sit down with you and help you build a list. Because if you had enough people, then that would solve, you know, that issue. And basically they're always going to be trickling, and as 80-20 rule is common with anything in life, right? But I mean, the way I was taught in sales is like, you talk to 10 people, you think 10 people are going to close, 2 of them will. And that's just my mentality. That's how I think, you know, like, I have conversations constantly. I'm always prospecting. I'm always talking. I'm always getting messages. I'm always responding to them.
And like new people or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a little different because I do DTG, so I can do smaller orders. So they're always coming in. I just, like, the people that want to work with me, that want to dance, it's pretty obvious, you know? Like, there's someone who messaged me and was like,
Fun way to put it.
Yeah.
you know, like,
Dance.
yeah, like, I mean, because you're standing there, you're like, I think they want to dance with me. And it's like, it's pretty obvious the person that really wants to dance with you, you know? And I'm not trying to put down that person. It's just that I can tell that they don't have like a sales background, and what they need to do is they need to say, who's in my phone right now? Who has not come over to see my machine? Who have I not grabbed a drink with and said, man, you know what I really need is I really just need like one school. I need like one big order. I need, like, when you tell people that care about you what you're looking for and what you want to do with your business, they want to help.
Yes.
And how many conversations have you had like that? I mean, I go to the mailbox and I run into the neighbor and they have a small dog and I have a small dog, and I'm like, we have a print shop. Like, this is what we're doing. This is what we're looking for. I mean, it's just so natural to me. And so because of that, like, it's, I guess if the person could think about it like from a dating perspective, you know, you have someone who's single and they've gone on one date in the past 6 months, and the girl's like, well, I waited 3 days and then he didn't text me back. Like, what do I say? It's like, no, you need to go out with like 20 guys in 6 months and you won't have this problem.
It's my kind of girl.
Sorry, I'm engaged. Okay, I am not looking. But you know what I mean? So
You need to go out with 20 women.
no, and I think it's important to have professional processes where, hey, I sent the proposal. Hey, just curious, did you get a chance to look at it? Assuming the sale, assuming it's
Right.
positive, assuming it's all right. Hey, we're gonna put, like, this is what I always say, which is funny because it's true, but it's not exactly. Sometimes it's not true. Is I'll say, hey, we have another really big order. We want to throw yours in with it. Can you guys like go ahead and take care of this because we want to get everything together, get free shipping? And they'll go, oh yeah, no problem. And even if they're the big order. I'll
Right.
pretend like I have a bigger one and I want free shipping so that can, like, hey, I was going to place it by 4. Is that possible?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's
know?
actually one of my follow-up techniques that I use is I say, we've got a couple big orders coming in and I don't want you to get bumped to behind them.
Okay.
Yeah. It's fair enough.
And so just following up to see if you wanted to get in front of them before we
I like that,
we run
yeah.
their job.
And so I tell Haley, my sales girl, and Jill to basically say, hey, when you're talking with the person, we're not going to do anything on the schedule for you until you actually, you know, you pay something.
Yeah.
Right. So in order to get on the schedule, you have to pay. For us, it's 50% down. I think you're in
100%.
100% for
100%.
100% for
I'm not a
Christy,
bank.
but 50% down for us, and that gets you on the schedule, and that starts the process of doing all the things, right? So do you have a deadline? And then they're like, well, yeah, it's this 16th or whatever. Well, we're backed out this far, so if you really want to get on the schedule and use us, we need you to, you know, go ahead and make a decision to get on that schedule or not.
Yeah.
And then that just puts that ball back in their court, and they make a decision based on
and that's
timing.
a really good point, Jeremy. Like you said, do you have a deadline? I have this list of questions that I ask every person I get on the phone. One, if someone's trying to order from me, I get them on the phone. We don't do everything over email because I want to have a conversation with them. I want to tell them about my business, and I want them to know that I'm the expert on what they are buying, and I can do that best over the phone. So when I get on the phone, I ask them if they have a deadline. I ask them what quality shirts they like. Are they more interested in price versus quality? And then also when they need it in their hands, not they're just deadline in the hand state. And a couple of other things that we go over. Do you have questions like that you ask your customers when you're trying to sell a job?
Yeah, I definitely get things like deadline, what they're interested in. I'd also like to talk to them. I feel like they hear my voice, I hear their voice. There's more of a trust involved. I kind of want to go back though to what Jeremy, what you were saying about what your salesperson tells to get on there. So that is more of, and this works by the way, but it's more of a here's the penalty if you don't type of thing. So one thing that I might suggest, just based on hearing that, like my gut reaction is, the way I would approach it is, people sometimes don't like to be put on the spot, but they like to be told what's about to happen.
Right.
They feel comfortable because they're like, here's what's going to happen. You're going to do this, and then I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to send you this, and then and they're like, oh, okay, because they're nervous. You know, they want to know what's about to happen, right? So what I would tell your salesperson, what I would do if I was like stepping in for a day, is I would call them and I would say, oh, hey, is this so-and-so? Yeah, this is, Laura from Rock Hill Screen Printing. I just wanted to confirm we have on the schedule, we have 100 shirts for you, and we have that set to be delivered to you on this day. Is that correct? Oh, yes, that's correct. Okay, so just to let you know, in 7 days from now, I'll be calling to get your credit card information so we can go ahead and get that started. Would that be okay? Okay, great. Yeah, that's okay? Okay, could I call you around 3? See, then they're like, oh, okay, so here's what she's telling me she's about to do before she does it. And I'm going, oh, I got to check with my boss.
Sure. Yeah.
Just a suggestion. And that's not, what you're doing is working, obviously.
Right.
You have a very much more successful shop than me. So I'm not saying that. It's more of an assuming the sale mentality. Yeah. And keeping it really positive, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And I feel like it depends on where you're at and
of course.
And your, in your journey as well. Like, I feel like early on, and we talked about this before, early on, it's like, I got to pay the bills. So I'm going to bend over backwards.
Right.
To make sure that and there's a lot of you guys out there that are like that, right?
Yeah. And even certain periods of time. We're even like that some periods of time.
So yeah, absolutely have to change. But then when we get to 3 weeks out, like we have to be like almost selective, right?
Makes sense.
And it's got to make sense in the schedule 3 weeks from now, right? And we have to plan for that. So, and that even includes vacations and things like that. So once you start to hire employees, all of those things factor in, right? So.
Yeah, and I think that's a great approach. You're in a completely different place than I am. Just
right, but
your
it
shop and
took
everything.
a long time.
Yeah. So
for sure,
that's just another technique I can throw out there. But
we're going to change subjects from sales and kind of go on a different path. So what are you drinking, Jeremy?
I'm drinking the Juicy J like Laura because
were you jealous?
I was jelly. First of all, let me point out that Laura's main gig, her and Gabriel's main gig, is DTG. And of course,
oh my gosh, we didn't even talk about these.
We're going this entire time, and people are going, "Why do they have shirts with themselves on it?"
I have not taken this shirt off in a week.
I sleep in it,
and that is why I'm on this side of the table. No,
but I love this. I know you were a little hesitant to wear a shirt with your face on it.
I mean, like, I don't know. It's weird wearing a picture of yourself.
Well, it was funny because Gabriel was like seeing them come out of the dryer, and under his breath, because you know him, he's very dry sense of humor. Yeah. He's like funny, like snarky, but he's funny. But he was like, they can't do this with screen printing.
Well, yeah, you can't. It would be really. I mean, you can, but it would be. Yeah, that's pretty.
I can't.
It was funny,
right? Yeah, you have to do some process, but it wouldn't. It would take a lot of screens.
No. We'll just do it.
No, I love them.
It looks great.
Thank you so much.
Of course.
I love our shirts, and we are going to be giving them out.
Yes,
Yeah.
we
I'm
are.
super
We had some
excited
extra
about.
ones made.
We did.
So my next question for you, Laura.
Oh, gosh.
Because you brought up Gabriel.
Yes.
I did.
And I've met Gabriel. He's a
Yes.
very nice guy, and he's Italian.
He's got a cute accent.
And then you guys are getting married in September,
Correct.
right?
Yep. And you're
So-
getting married in June.
I am. I'm so excited.
Yes.
Jeremy, renewing your vows?
No. No, not because I don't want to. It's,
You know, Italy
we're
would be a
celebrating.
great place to
We're
renew your
celebrating.
vows.
My son just got back from Italy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he just went.
Those
like
photos
literally
looked
last
amazing.
night.
Yeah.
Last night he got back.
And you still had him to work today.
He was here today. 'cause
Slave driver.
Dang it.
You're like, you better
Dang
earn
it.
that trip, boy.
Yes. Like,
So-
he was gone a week. But anyways, go ahead.
So my question is, I don't have this, and I kind of have a different perspective, but how do you guys balance working with your significant others? And I'm sure there's a lot of shops that our listeners have that, you know, maybe one of them starts out in the shop and then one of them gets drug into it, kicking and screaming, or maybe willingly, who knows? But how do you guys balance that?
Well, I was going to answer, and then I found out that Jeremy had been married for 25 years and has been running
Oh
this
my
for
gosh.
8
Yeah.
with
Hi,
his
Jill.
wife. And I'm not even married yet, and we've only been doing it for 4 months. So I really actually honestly need advice
Okay.
before I even answer
Yeah.
that question.
Well, yes. So, yes, Jill and I have been married 25 years. At first, thank you. At first, it was I quit my job just like, like you did and Gabrielle did.
Did she think you were crazy for
Yeah.
that?
Like, what the hell?
'Cause I know
dude?
Jill.
Yeah.
She's practical.
She's like, okay, we need to pay the bills. So that was our mission and vision, pay the bills, right? And so she was supportive of me in that because we had to pay the bills. I just gave up a cushy salary. I gave up vacation. I gave up tenure.
Yeah.
22 years in engineering. I gave all that up to follow a dream. Now, I've heard multiple times throughout this journey that, hey, that's your dream, not my dream. which is
That's
a
very
hard.
Jill, too.
Yeah, that's very Jill too. But at the same time, like there was that support because like we do everything together, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
So I think the first thing that we learned right away was that there has to be a definite separation from work and home life. There needs to be breaks, right? So I would highly recommend if you are working with your spouse, like you gotta have some downtime. You gotta have some away from work time. One thing we started doing recently was just not taking computers home
Okay.
because
I like that.
it happens, right? Like you get home and you're like, I gotta follow up on that quote. It's really easy to just go back on your phone and follow up with a quote still.
Yeah.
Even with the technology
I
we
still
have,
do
right?
that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you do absolutely for the relationship. You have to take a break. And now we're in it together, and we still need to take a break. So if you are doing that, make sure that you again communicate well so that and keep a communication so that there's work communication and then there's home communication, and that communication's not compromised
Yeah.
by bringing work home with you and talking about work at home and then getting in an argument or whatever else, like spoiling a night together
Right.
because of work or whatever else. Like to kind of try to clean your hands at the end of the day and walk away and go, all right, back to reality. And now I know that's super hard, but that's one thing that we've tried to learn to do throughout the years. Go ahead.
And do you guys have like other friend groups so you're spending time away from each other too? Or
No,
do you find
actually,
that
you know what?
because you guys are different spots in the shop, you don't
Right. And that's
overlap.
important too, is that like
You're not in competition.
We're not in competition. Yeah, no. In fact, I'm perfectly okay saying that Jill is the brains behind the business. Like I'm
is.
absolutely perfectly okay with that. It's not, I don't need to, even though my name's all over everything, like I trust her to make the best decisions because she knows me. Right. And so that's important too, is just like developing that relationship where you can trust each other and that you can allow the others to make decisions for you based on your best interest, because you got to understand it. They got to have your best interest in mind. And you've been in a relationship with them, they have your best interest in mind. So,
Yeah.
so that trust and communication was a huge thing early on, and it's still a huge thing to this day.
Right.
Trust and communication.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like what we've kind of built our
Yeah.
business on. We have high points and low points,
Yeah.
and we're, I've been told that we're not friends anymore, at work, and it's okay.
Yeah.
Like today, I got a text message in all caps, asshole, and it's okay
Yeah.
because I just laugh, and
Yeah.
I can open the door and smile, and she's like, "I'm not talking to you right now." And it's like, okay, but it's all because of work related things, or
Yeah.
but so it's okay to have those relationships and work, but also have that separation, I guess, is my number one suggestion to you getting into this.
I appreciate that.
And how are you guys navigating it?
First of all, with humor, as you're just starting to get to know me. I know you don't know me as well, but I am an incredibly goofy, silly person. I love memes. I love joking around. I always make a point to like laugh and joke, and sometimes I'll like take like a t-shirt that we just use for like practice or something, and I'll throw it at him, or I'll stick my tongue out, or
Right.
we try not to take things too seriously. And then the other thing, and it's not controversial to me, but I think it might be in like 2023, but we have like very traditional family values, and part of that's just like my faith background. And in our relationship and in our shop and in our life, Gabriel is like, wears the pants. He's the man. And he, also because he's been in the industry for 15 years and I've been in for 4 months, it makes it a little bit easier that way. So I have my opinions. I share them very loudly at very high volumes. But in the end, Gabriel makes the decisions. He made the decision to get the 6-head to Jima, and I said, I trust you. Like,
Right.
you're in charge. And if we get like this is just also, I think, because, like, this is just my own philosophy, my own background. But, sometimes if you have two people both trying to go at each other or be in competition, anything two-headed is like a monster. So
Right.
we do have our own opinions, and I have my one, and I don't even check with him on some things. But at the end of the day, like, it's his business. He started it. So he's like the decision maker, the end decision maker, I would say. And that's what's worked for us so far. So
Yeah.
Yeah, and we will. It's becoming easier since we have children as well.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. You
yeah.
have children in the business as
And
well.
yeah, my son works for us, and so it truly is a family business. Our dog's here every day.
yeah.
right?
Upstairs.
Oh yeah, you met our dog.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you
Yeah.
have Pina.
Yeah, so it is truly a family business. I mean, my other son works for an employer right behind our shop, and so he's in, and
Sure.
everybody thinks that Haley's our daughter. Like,
Yeah.
it's just
She's been here forever.
She's been here forever. So yeah, so it's there is a family feel here, and we love that about our business.
Yeah.
And we act like we're family sometimes, and sometimes you get along, and sometimes you don't. And,
Oh, yeah.
But you kind of learn each other, and and yeah. So you said it. Trust. It's a trust thing.
Yeah, and I am also on the Gildan Board of Decorators for the year, and a couple of the shops that are also on the board with me are family-owned and operated shops, or Dylan at Upstate Merch. He runs the shop and he owns the shop, but he has his dad coming in and doing work, and his mom helps out occasionally too in other capacities. But it's interesting how they navigate that, even though he owns the shop. And then Ryan over at P&M Apparel, he's a third generation.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I think I had mentioned that to you guys, like how to navigate passing it down to your son.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That's in the works. Yeah.
But it's so interesting to me. Like, and my mom and dad worked together growing up. My mom's a dentist and my dad was her office manager. And so we just grew up in these family businesses, and it kind of navigated into the home life a little bit, but then you tried to push it back a little bit. But in the end, what you guys are saying about trusting the person that you're working with really hit home for me too. I think that's how my parents did it and were successful in it
Yeah.
too.
Your parents have been very
Yeah.
successful. That's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, and taking a break.
Yeah,
It's important
taking a break.
because when you're in business for yourself, you don't take breaks, and I mean it in the literal sense. Like, you need a vacation.
Yeah.
You don't be married. You're married to your spouse. You're gonna eventually bring work home. You're gonna talk about it on the weekends. But that's really why we're doing this podcast, because what you find yourself doing is in the evening having a drink and talking about screen printing, right?
Yeah.
And so like and you come up with some answers during that time, right? So why not again, the reason why we're doing this is to share those, to have that setting for you guys to let's talk about this, why we're doing it. But definitely take breaks. Get
Go
away.
on vacation.
Go on vacation.
Close the shop if you have to.
Close
if you're
the
a
shop
one-man
if you
band.
have to. If you're a one-man band, if you can get the employees, you get to a point in your business where your employees can run it for you. See you later.
I look up to you for that.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's day by day.
I even told Gabriel today, I'm like, she's running errands. How is she running errands? Like
there's
after I hung up on the phone with you, and I'm like, God, I would love to just run errands and have someone at the shop we
Right.
could trust.
Yeah.
We're
No,
not there
my
yet.
girls are wonderful. They really are. Even though I joke.
And that's
day by
another
day.
episode because
Yeah, it really is.
It absolutely
I need
is.
to listen to that one.
So, like, thank you so much, Laura, for
Thanks
being
for
on the
having me.
podcast.
Yeah.
This
I had
was
a blast.
wonderful.
Yeah.
I can't
Thank you
believe.
for the shirts.
Thank you for the shirt.
You're welcome.
You have made my life.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
happy.
Yeah, awesome.
Thanks for having me. It was a great podcast. And I hope it helps someone.
Yeah, absolutely. So you guys, please follow us on Instagram, which is my favorite platform ever. Last Call for Plastisol. We will also be on YouTube.
Also on YouTube, yep, Spotify, Google Play, anywhere where you can get your podcast, tune in to
Like
that.
and subscribe.
Like, click, subscribe,
Rate.
send us an email, rate.
Send comments, messages.
Give us a
call
5-star
us, Come
review.
to our shop. Wear the shirts.
Buy us beer.
Yeah.
That would be awesome. Buy us some beer
Yeah.
because that's
All of the above.
that makes us
Yeah.
happy. And Laura, you have like 30 seconds. Go ahead and tell us about your business and kind of
Plug
take
it.
us out. Plug it.
Oh,
Go for it.
sure. Well, we can do embroidery. We can do polos, hats, hoodies, T-shirts, everything. DTG. And we just love working with small businesses. We love working with any businesses.
And you're in Charlotte?
We are in Charlotte, North Carolina, in the South End area. So our
So
Instagram is Tall Girl Prince NC for North Carolina. Thanks so much.
Awesome. Thank you for being
Thanks
on the
for joining
podcast.
us.
And you guys, thanks for listening. Thanks for following along. We could not do this without you. So cheers.
Cheers.
Last Call for Plastisol.
Yeah.